Hi there. So in this video, we're going to talk about process mapping and solution design for AI automation. And we're going to use a simple use case of this job search and custom resume creation. So this is what we're going to cover in this video. We're going to look quickly on how to define a goal and objective for this type of use case. We're going to look at linear process map for this specific AI automation, and we'll explain in a second what the linear process is. And we're going to look how we can actually technically design the solution for this use case for the AI automation. First, let me introduce myself. So my name is Christian. I've been in the tech world for about 12 years now. My last role was a director of program management at Fox. And over the years, I did consulting mostly in delivery and project management for big companies like Ford, Chrysler, and even startups, mostly for software development and data type of work. So first, for any request, internal or external, you want to make sure that you're on the same page on what you want to develop, what's your goal, what's your objective. So we're going to use this use case of automating job search and custom resume creation. So the goal for this would be to increase the likelihood of being considered for job opportunities by generating custom resumes for each application. And the way we want to do that is we want to develop this automation that searches for jobs based on a specific criteria. And then we're going to use AI, something like ChatGPT, for example, to generate a custom resume that matches the job posting, but also matches your existing skills and accomplishments and overall experience that you had over the year, right? And ultimately, this is going to enable higher application volume daily, right? You can run something like this daily in the morning as a job, and then we'll be able to have all those custom resume for tens of jobs every morning, which allows you to speed up your application process. So that's in a nutshell an example of goal and objective, right? Pretty straightforward. It does bring a lot of value and clarifies a lot of expectations. Let's jump in straight into the linear process map. Now, keep in mind that this example here is really documenting your manual process. So we would access the job board, let's say Indeed.com, then we would search for a job criteria, let's say project management, a remote role, and the specific salary, right? We will filter by the newest job first, just because the market is very competitive. So we want to see what are the newest postings, and we want to apply for those first to have a higher chance of being considered. Then we're going to open the job description and read the job description, right? That's pretty typical what you do, right? And next, we're going to open the file with our own skills and accomplishments, right? And we're going to generate and craft a custom resume that best matches that job description and also connects with what's matching from our experiences, right? We want to have that match in between, and we want to make sure that we highlight how we stand out. Then we will save the resume, most likely with a unique name, because every job posting, we will assume that we have a new resume that's unique for that specific job posting. And then we're going to create a repository. So maybe like a spreadsheet where we have line items as rows of what are the jobs, what are the links to those jobs, and then what is the resume that's particular for that job posting. So that's a pretty straightforward process map end to end. Again, keeping in mind this highlights of what's happening today. So it doesn't highlight necessarily the technology. This is just straight process end to end of what's happening in your organization or what you do manually today. So once that's figured out, this is actually very useful because it captures the requirements, it captures the flow, and if it's done by multiple people, it can even capture, the roles or functions. This is a simple one. This is why it's a linear process map, but this can also be done by function, which is a functional process map by the roles, for example. We do have an example like that, how we can turn this into a more sophisticated, maybe, or a little bit more advanced use case for AI agents. So how to execute on a more complicated flow like this with AI agents. That's a next video coming up. So definitely subscribe to see that one as well. Now let's take a look at the solution design. And when you do a solution design and you know the process and you know the requirements, you're going to most likely start thinking of a specific platform, right? Something that you're going to build a solution on. Obviously, that's the first step. If you're not sure what that is, you might have to do a comparison analysis across multiple platforms and compare how those platforms is going to support your specific solution, right? You don't want to use the same platform every time, no matter what the requirements are, because that might not be compatible for the specific use case or requirements. So because it's a straightforward example here, we actually picked make.com, but there are more advanced platforms out there that could support this as well. So with the make.com in mind, let's take a look how we fleshed out the design, or you might call this architecture, right? But again, it's a simple process that we'll be able to apply to even more complicated solutions. So first, we're going to have to scrape the jobs, right? We're going to use a scraper for Indeed.com and be able to pull all those jobs to a specific criteria. So if we do it in Make.com, you can use something like Appify. So we're going to run the job bulk scraper, which means that this is going to be scheduled and running one at a time. And what this means is you could go ahead and pick the Appify run actor. You define the criteria that we just talked about earlier, and you schedule it to run. For example, it can run in the morning, right? So that's why we call out here the delay, because it, depending on the criteria that you use and how many jobs you want to scan, maybe you want 10, maybe you want 1,000, right? This might take from a couple of minutes to maybe half an hour. So you want to include a delay. And then if we use the Appify solution, the way Appify works, you're actually going to need two separate actors here. So you're going to get one watch actor that is for getting the result, and then Appify requires another one for the dataset items. So that's to display your data. So once you have those, then the next step comes in where we actually have now the building of the custom resume, right? So assuming we use something like ChatGPT, first we're going to have to provide ChatGPT with the overall system and user prompt, and this is going to create that custom resume. We even provided here an example prompt for the design architecture. So you have a system prompt that provides the background of what's required and a user prompt as well. So you set expectations and instructions with ChatGPT. Then you want to provide with the job posting and candidate skills, accomplishment, and experiences. This is a placeholder prompt here. Obviously, this is going to be custom based on your approach and your format, but you have the job posting details that will be pulled from Appify and provided dynamically, hopefully, right, to ChatGPT. And then you're going to have the candidate information. Here is the accumulation of skills, expertise that ChatGPT is going to tap into to have all the data needed, the candidate and then the job application, and then be able to provide that resume template as well. So once it has the data, then it's gonna need to know what is the format that you want to have this outputted, right? And we don't want to leave that to ChatGPT because then you're going to have inconsistencies of the output of this, right? So we're providing a template resume structure here. You can even provide this in the markdown format. That way you create some constraints around ChatGPT so the outcome and the template is the same. So once those three steps there are done with ChatGPT, then we're going to ask it to output this in, let's say, a Google Doc, right? So every request, actually better said, every custom resume, because you're going to have multiple jobs, right? So it might create 10, 20 of these once the jobs are running. So every one will be created in a new doc with a specific name, right? And the naming convention there is something that you can customize how you see fit. And based on our process for requirement, we need to consolidate all those job applications with a unique resume into some kind of repository. So Google Sheets will do. You can do a CRM or a specific, more advanced database if you want, but Google Sheets will do, and you can include the details, like I mentioned, and the link there. So this is pretty straightforward. Once you have the process map, once you have some kind of idea of the design, this is pretty detailed here because we include, step by step and the prompt and really everything you need to get going in make.com. Here's your requirements in process map. Most likely there'll be adjustments. Once you figure out the balance between that process map and the design, right, then you can go ahead and execute. And keep in mind that this here is just a simple use case just to prove out how process mapping and solution design can be applied for AI automation, right? In the corporate world, for more software development or data engineering projects, this is something that gets done all the time and it's very normalized, right? And this might look like a little bit of work for AI automation, but keep in mind that once you build these good habits, then when the capabilities increase for AI automation or AI agents, and you're going to have more complicated use cases, then you're going to have a professional way of approaching projects, and you're going to be able to stand out in the market, right, by a professional engineer or implementer or consultant, right? Well, this is what we have for today. So make sure you subscribe to our channel if you want to see more information on process map, breaking down projects and solutions, and project management in general, with a focus on AI automation and AI agents. Thank you for watching.